What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for September 26th. I'm recording this the same day that it's being released, so it's a little bit on the late side. I worked all weekend and almost 9-hour shifts at that. So, yesterday when I got home, I was just more so wanting to relax a little bit. So, it's all good. We're here, spirits joining, and the steam is just from my coffee. I like it's strong and hot. So how's your coffee been this morning? Good, I hope. Good, I hope. Okay, let's hop in and do this. Let me move this coffee. Where can I put? I talk with my hands a lot, so my main concern is just not going puh and having it, okay, let me move this here. Perfect. But first we sip. Oh, that's good. Okay. So, this side says celebrate life. Both of them do. That's on that. That's lovely. Dearest wonderful you, to help you manifest a life for the highest good, we invite you to examine your deepest desires. Imagine all your desires, no matter what kind, like magic seed pods in a basket, glowing with infinite potential. Look closely at each one. Are you afraid that some may bring you too much attention and invite negative reactions from others? Is change too daunting? Are you afraid to stretch and grow? Let yourself be led forward and let the seeds of positive intention take to the wind. Your desires count and you are worthy of them. They are essential for co-creating your world. Did you ever consider that when a desire comes from deep within you, it might be spirit moving you to create something beautiful to share with others? Some desires are infused with miraculous powers to move the heart and influence the world in ways you cannot possibly know. We know you and love you so deeply and are so happy to support you. That's beautiful. Yeah. The seeds of positive intention, let them take to the wind. I almost see these as seeds of intention. There could be a cycle ending. I feel like that's kind of been going around a lot. The seeds of positive intention. Spirit, what messages do you have for this hero's journey for my wonderful and beautiful creative collective? 3 of Wands. Waiting. Oh, that's interesting. Look at that. That was on the split as I started to shuffle. 10 of Swords again and the 9 of Cups. The call, it's almost like the call is itself. Like this is just like a call. Like this is sort of the banality of it. I get that as that's my impression of this card anyway, where it doesn't indicate a whole lot, like at least not in this position on its own. 6 of Cups. 2 of Wands. Lots of waiting. It's like that stagnant energy. Like I feel like it's representative of some stagnation perhaps. Let's see what the rest of the spread has to say. It feels chatty, but it also, I feel like the 3 of Wands and the 2 of Wands are also quiet cards. Like they're not overly vocal. I mean, the bottom of the deck is pretty loud, but yeah, I'll put that here. Wow. Okay, so I'm really and truly getting here. 10 of Swords again. There it is. Okay. That 10 of Swords really wanted to come out. What I'm really impressed with in the way that Spirit's putting this together is that it does feel like this is like what you're waking up to is an ending. So we're going to get through this and outline and delineate what kind of ending. But because I see there's choices here, right? There's choices. There's big decisions in terms of the Tower. I feel, and big decisions just meaning like the Tower shows up and you have to decide something. You have to move. Like that's 444 on the time. You have to move, right? Like you can't just stay as you were or as things were. So, okay. Three of Wands, Six of Cups, Two of Wands. The call and the refusal, I think it's almost like there's, I think, a little bit of like one foot in the past, one foot forward, but there's something about this past that's a little bit kind of, I'm hearing grinding your gears. Not what I was going to say, but it could be the case. Like, and like grinding just meaning that they can't move forward. So they're grinding in place, which is just a not great use of your energy today. Um, so it's almost like this is saying like there's a refusal that is being made up of feeling like maybe you have to have too many details. Like, let me read this to you again, because this is becoming clearer. Thank you, Spirit. That's great. um Look closely at each one. So your desires, right? What it is that you want. Are you afraid that some may bring you too much attention and invite negative reactions from others? Is change too daunting? Are you afraid to stretch and grow? Let yourself be led forward and let the seeds of positive intention take to the wind. This is where I feel like you're kind of, maybe this is processing. It's really coming across as processing, not just to do with the past, like the Six of Cups in its most general form is a card of looking back, nostalgia, that kind of thing, or also maybe romanticizing the past as well. Looking for the positives in it. And when we do that, when we get into that place, it can be a form of gratitude, but it also demonstrates to me a bit of healing. And there's like a significance to what it is that you're looking back on. And I think that you have an eye to the future here with these two cards, but there's a part of that where it's like there's not the step forward. And I feel like this is the thing that could become a tower if it goes unchecked, which is the Lover's card, a choice, right? This is also relational energy. So I think in that relationality, there's something to be said for, choices that you need to make, that if you do not make them, they will become a tower. And the tower is here to say, like, it's almost like, I want to say that, like, alarm bells are going off, but not the kind that's like red flaggy, that kind of thing. Like, it's not like that. This is just more so, I think, outlining, it's more so outlining the way that, it could have been choices that you maybe, I want to say it's like frustrated choices. Like, I feel like there's like, there's things on the tip of my tongue that I'm reaching for, but I just can't, like, it's like frustrated energy. And can't meaning it's not like can't or won't, like it's truly a can't, like there's a block here. I'm going to clarify that energy because I'm a touch curious. I'll use this one. Yeah, the moon on the bottom. Yeah, it feels like there's something going on beneath the surface that's not as clear. Five of Cups and the Four of Wands. So I think it's like some disappointment. Disappointment in, I guess, I want to say, like, and then, yeah, Three of Swords on the bottom of that. But then the Page of Cups. So it's like there's this, yeah, thank you so much, Spirit. It's like disappointments, like past disappointments and hurt. It's almost like fear of the past repeating itself a little bit is what I'm getting from this, like this kind of frustrated decision making. But I think the key is not to romanticize the past or look back with this sense of nostalgia for what was, but to look forward for what's possible. Like, that's where you plant the seeds of intention. So it's almost like freeing yourself. This is totally coming across as that cyclical loop that you're bringing an end to, where it's like looking back at the past as though you could do something to change it, or like you can, reach through time and shift things. You can't, which is a good thing, because how else would we learn, right? Like, if you could go back into the past and change things, rearrange it, and then it just, we wouldn't learn things. We would just we wouldn't necessarily learn things. We would get better at these mechanisms to change things so that we didn't fully integrate those lessons. So I think that's something there as well. And I think the protagonist is the Tower. So it's like the change that you might have feared is the change that you need. That's interesting. I don't know where that's coming from. The change that you feared is the change that you need. That feels really familiar, but I don't know from where. So, okay. So anyway, the antagonist position. So this is, the Tower is to your benefit. I don't feel like this is a particularly intense one, because I feel like you're kind of activating this energy here. And I feel like the Lover's card is at once about a choice, but it's also about, again, that relational energy. So I feel like while you might be releasing and making choices to in your highest good, um, and in service to forward movement, I think the real key is making sure that you make decisions from a place that isn't based in fear, right? Like, perhaps it had to do with your stability where it like knocked your confidence, it disappointed you. There were things that you're like, well, it's almost like it justified going cold on your desires. It justified, like, it's almost like this icy demeanor, like being cold about it, right? Just being de facto, like, this is what I just have to do to get it done, without being like, this is why it fires me up and this is all of the reasons why I'm excited, right? Like, which way do you start the sentences when you talk about things that you want? And I think that's kind of, that's coming through here, like, well, I have to do this, and like, do you go right to the process? And some people do, and it's not to malign that, but this is about reconnecting with like a passion here, because the wand energy is all in either marching in place or looking to the future, which are both inaction cards, right? They're inaction cards. Three of Wands. This is also, it's good, like you're looking at the horizon of what's to come, but there's also an inactivity in the present. 11:11 on the time. Sorry for banging in your ear here. I'm trying to get the mic right. So it's like frustrated energy, and then the overcoming of that is more of this like choosing your battles wisely, but this is also a kind of frustrated wand energy, right? So it's like feeling conflicted internally, and then it starts to manifest outwardly, where it's like you choose your battles wisely, and choose your battles wisely just meaning like, what are your priorities? Because when you are in touch with your desires, your priorities shift. I experienced this last week. So I have this weird, well, I don't know. It's just a thing that I like to do. When like, I feel like I want to, anyways, I'm, I'm a bit shy about admitting this, but that's fine. So I like to go to IKEA sometimes. This is something I used to do. And now that it's safer and all of that, here in Ontario, now that like the fourth and fifth wave or whatever of the pandemic are past, I go to IKEA and I like to walk around with a coffee and look at things that appeal to me decoratively speaking. But also I like to look for the couples, so queer couples in particular, because I don't know why, but it kind of became like IKEA, it's like where we all go. I don't know. But anyways, so I would go through and just like, it's like watching the way that people connect there. And just like, it's such an exciting thing to get something for your home. So it feels like such an intimate, connectivity that I watch unfold. And so, and it's just like 1,000 different ways that you can see the language that a couple has built to relate to one another, whether through language or, just like a hand on the small of a back, or on an arm, or like this excitement at seeing something, and like inside jokes exchanged, right? Like people go to airports. I guess I go to IKEA. It's weird. I don't know. But it just like fills my heart so much to watch that, because it's such a beautiful expression of it's like a casual expression of love that is going to enter into the everyday of that relationship, right? Like something as basic as buying a vase, for example, or even cutlery or something like that. Like, it's just like, that is going to be something that integrates into their everyday. And then you can see the way that the everyday love will express itself through these little things. So anyways, it's a great time. But while I was there, I was thinking about how priorities have shifted, and, how just watching and because this was the first time I'd done it since I transitioned. I'm going to get to the cards because it's important to this. I realize, I know I'm a bit of a chatterbox this morning, but blame the Gemini on my chart. But while I was walking through, I was thinking to myself, like, my priorities have shifted, right? Like I used to like make a day of it and get, all dolled up and all this stuff, and like perform my gender sufficiently, which it always felt like such a task, right? Like I had to perform it in a way where I had to really put thought into it because it wasn't me, right? So, and it would be like a reprieve to see this love on display, but I would always be kind of removed from it. And then I was sitting there watching in the restaurant area, just like looking around and watching folks and feeling like, wow, like you have this moment where you feel like immediately at home in your skin, where I was like, I used to care about, my wearing these, specific shoes and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I bought my shoes at Costco, and like, I don't really care what people think about that. Like it was a shift in priorities. And I feel like that's kind of what I don't know that it's coming through here where it's like choosing your battles wisely is at once about external circumstances and battle when it comes to you, but then choosing your battles wisely is also allotting your energy so that you're prioritizing what you give, like what you give your fucks to. Pardon my language, but also who fucking cares? It's this is my channel, right? Like, but it's like if you had like a fuck jar when it came to relationships and desire, right? Like that's desire is like what goes in that jar, because that's prioritizing your energy. That's prioritizing that, right? So it's like how are you showing up with these pretenses of what should be and how you should be and like performing where you are if you get into that habit. But it's also, I think, just this ending of it's like ending the cycles of this repetitive, like I almost see this as like overthinking, like it's like where the thoughts are entering into the wands and frustrating it. And it could be where you need to reflect on the past more fondly to get back in touch with your sense of freedom with desire, because the challenge is like it's almost like allowing yourself to just want stuff, allowing yourself to just desire without the pretense of, oh, it has to look this way or it has to be like this or it has to, like who cares, right? Like who really cares that much? Like most of the time people are so caught up in where they are and what they're doing, they don't have the time and energy to notice you. And it's like it's part of the way that our world works in a way, like especially with social media, where we're like almost conditioned to have this like little narcissistic bent to our personalities, where we're trained to care and act as though people care more than they do, right? And it's like it's neither courtesy nor helpful to other people or you. So it's like choosing your battles wisely, but this includes the ones that you wage inside yourself towards yourself. The antagonist position is the Page of Swords, which is, it's almost like external messages, right? Like it's the external information, sensory information coming in from the outside, be it in the form of messages, news, people approaching you, stories, possibly gossip. But it's just like something that would confound your ability to move forward on what you want. And it's like believing that you have to look outside of you for more information when what you have, when it comes to desire, what you want is enough. Like you are enough to have what you want, but what you want is enough to stand on its own. And that's what I think this Four of Wands represents. It's like when's the last time that you allowed yourself to believe that what you wanted was enough because you're enough? And because it comes from you, that is sufficient, right? And it's like heartbreak teaches us that we are like, it's almost like I'm getting this image of like a hand, like just like a gentle slap on the hand. Like you put your hand in the cookie jar and you were told that it was bad, but it's not. Like you can just want things, right? Like in the privacy of your own mind. And if you don't have space that lends that privacy, just have it be there. Like allow yourself to just explore what that is like. Right? Don't hold back. There's the book, there's a book called The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. Highly recommend it. Because that was one of the first times that I was this was years ago, I think 2014, 2015, more so 2014 and 13, I think. But it's like it introduced the idea and like, what an introduction, right? Where it's like you can just want what you want and that's okay. Like allow yourself to just desire stuff, but don't hold yourself outside of it through desire either. Like allow yourself to see and envision the having of it as well. But I feel like maybe that's what this it's like what you're waking up to, like what you're awakened to through this is the cycle ending of, I think it's like ignoring this, right? Ignoring this. And then I feel like the main lesson here is like rebalancing and being more adaptable. But these are almost strike me as like the seeds of desire. And it's like picking the ones that you don't have to perform, picking the ones that are just the most relevant to you, that mean the most to you, because it's a pentacle, right? And I think of pentacles as seeds, like the seeds that you're planting. So it's really important. I think I could say it a million different ways, but it's like your priorities will shift when you allow yourself to want what you want and to see yourself as having it. And to know that if you want it, so too does the energy within you exist to have it as well. So it's not just about like, well, I would like to have $7 million one day. Well, okay, what the hell are the conditions of that, right? What's the context of that? Because by just wishing something like that and being like, I want this kind of relationship, Okay, well, how does it feel when, for example, when you go shopping at IKEA, right? Like, how does it feel when you are making dinner together, or the everyday things that may not be like super sexy, like, but it's like the everyday things, right? What does it feel like when you get a text from them? What frequency, like, how often do you want to be texted? Like, these are all of the contexts that lend something. And don't get too caught up in the details, because that can be, I mean, generally speaking, I'm an overthinker, so I'm great at that. But it really is, it's what it comes down to is like, if you can't just abstract what you want, and you need to find some ways to drum up the feeling of it actually happening, and to be in that energy too. So don't frustrate your energy by focusing in a way that doesn't honor your ability to have it as well, right? Okay, I'm gonna pull some clarifiers because I can. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for September 26th? I think it's the 26th today. I think I said 26. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I haven't had enough coffee yet. And I will be returning to the, with my face in the videos as well. I just took a break from that because I wanted to get this out, and it currently looks like my hair needs a license to operate it. So, I thought I would save you that. Wow, okay. There's that Ace of Cups. These are all beautiful cards. Queen of Cups on the bottom. So it's almost like you're off to the races. And it's like maybe what you thought of that would be a lot more arduous, like it would be really tough. This can also be restrictive, right? If we believe that what we want is such hard work that it limits us. So this is like prioritizing your energy, choosing your battles, right? Choosing your battles is also like what are you choosing to believe about what you want? Because picking your battles isn't just about like, I'm going to engage in this conflict and not this one. That's part of it, yes, but there's also like, especially being clarified by the Star and the Eight of Pentacles, this is telling me that there's a bigger thing that you're being led by and led towards, right? So if you believe that it's going to be all hard work, it's going to be like having all brand cereal, like with psyllium fiber husks or whatever. I don't know. Like it's like the most granular thing with no milk or water or anything. So it's like it fills you, but it's not enjoyable, right? So I don't eat cereal because I have to eat gluten-free for the most part. So I only know that like gluten-free bread can be pretty interesting sometimes, but yeah. But nonetheless, all of that aside, that's kind of how it's coming across here, where it's like that might be part of where you need to free up the creative energy, because you're looking not too far ahead, but you're like looking at things and removing yourself as recipient of in the equation, or in like participatorily, you're just like, I'm out. And like you leave yourself out, and you're like, that's so nice. Like when I go through IKEA and like kind of just people watch, it's not just about doing that for the fun of it. Like I root for these couples, like I'm like, oh, I really like, it's like you want the best for them, and it's just like it's a little love fest. It's like my nerdy little thing. And then I wandered around a bookstore after that. So I had a very good day off last week. But it's like you need to see yourself as in it. And I feel like that's kind of what this is saying too. It's like the way that this card is coming across intuitively is that emotionally you can look back on things, or you can even project forward into the future with a sense of nostalgia for what was, or you can see yourself as part of it. You need to see yourself in the emotional equation, because it's going to make choices a little bit more easier. That's not the right way to say it, but it's going to make it easier for you to see what you need to see, because that's what shifts things, right? So it's like, how are you holding your vision without including yourself in it? The Nine of Cups is coming across here as clarifying the Two of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords in the position of what it is you're awakened to in the main lesson. And I feel like this is sort of like Emotional fulfillment doesn't just come from the having of things, but it comes from the being and the state, right? It is from the state management. It's part of NLP. So it's like state management and the emotional fulfillment that you get, not just from the pursuit of the thing, not just like people call it the chase, but I think about it as the journey to achieving something, like how you transform along the way. That's not the only part of it, right? Like you don't want to write yourself out of the magic of the moment the seed gets planted in your heart to the moment that it starts to sprout and grow and become this beautiful garden or a tree that bears fruit, right? Like you don't want to write yourself out of any part of that. And I think that's sort of where it's like an ending of a cycle, and it's like the realization of another one that hadn't even yet reached a cup that would be close to that. And I feel like that's what this ace is here. Relationship wise, if you're coming here looking for relationship, I feel like this is, I think it's possibly a way of doing relationships differently, right? Like instead of saying like, I want this kind of person, I want this thing, like it's like instead of sitting there with a list of traits of what you want, take a step back and look at the quality of the relationship that you build with somebody, because it's not just about like ticking a series of boxes. It's like you're going to exist in that relationship too. And so it also creates a pedestal for that person, because if you're looking exclusively at traits of somebody, you won't have a hope in hell of relating to them, because you're going to be like, oh, and so excited that they're there, which is important because, like people are important, right? Like that's an amazing thing. Like it's a wonderful feeling. But you don't want to create that pedestal so that then they're so far removed that you can't relate to them, because they are this dream thing that you never endeavored to place yourself within the context of, right? So if you're like, this is the quality of relationship that I want to have, you're showing up as equals right from the start internally. And that's not like there are so many different ways to envision relationship, but that's what's coming across here if you're coming for relationship. I feel like this puts you in far better command of your fire. Your fire just meaning your passion for life, the things that you want to reach for. This is also creative capacity too. Like creative visualization, yes, for sure. But it's also like the fearless pursuit of what you desire, right? What you desire. But the king has in this energy, it's like a command over the idea of and balance between work. Like what's the work of manifesting and the joy of manifesting? And that's where this Ace of Cups comes in. And it's like there's this sort of wisdom that comes from desire that inflects not only the shape of it, but like there's a wisdom within you that's like it's like offering up something right now. And it could be, this is where it could be messages that you're getting. This could be exchanges that you have with other people right now. If you're dating, or, even if this is more work oriented. So if you're more in your pentacle space about this, I feel like this is an energy of finding the wisdom, right? Finding the wisdom within you, to understand it's not just about the Ace of Cups that someone gives to you or opportunities. This does strike me as opportunities coming, not to test this, because I don't like the idea of like testing the universe. And like, because when people are like, oh, I'm testing you, I'm like, that's the quickest way to piss me off. And not in a way that's like, grr, but it's just like, why? It's like, it feels like a use. It's not a good use of energy, because it takes up so much energy, where instead of testing, it's like, testing comes from a place of, I don't trust you and I don't want to engage with you in a way that's one-to-one. So I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to like, it doesn't strike me as very kind. Like it doesn't strike me as kind, because when people have done those things in relationships to me, I know that it's hurt, because I get confused and I'm like, why test someone instead of see them as being worthy enough of relating to one-to-one and discussing the things that would make you want to test someone in the first place, right? Because those are fears that you have. And if you can't show up authentically, it means you don't trust that person with them. It means that you don't trust. And then when that trust is missing, you resort to those games, right? And sometimes we get like this with spirit. So it's about going within to also, this is also coming through here, where it's like you're learning to trust in your desire, right? There's a wisdom in it. There's a wisdom in what you want, but you first have to believe not just that you can have the thing, but that you are also the thing as well. Now, let me explain that, especially if it's like relationships or creative projects, right? Things that I'm coming to understand right now that I've had like a reintroduction to. So interesting. But it's not about seeing yourself as in, a job that is different from where you are, for example, right? Because you have these, like, I almost see these, like the Three of Wands and the Two of Wands as like creative visualization, which is amazing, but there's needs to be action taken upon it. So you are at your core not like you are the fulfillment of the desire, and you are that because you can turn to the emotions that will feel the same way you will feel when you get there. So are you going to let conditions be the holdout? Are you going to let conditions be the holdout that stops you? And that's how we can test ourselves too, and hold like what we want away from ourselves because we don't believe that we can have it. But instead of addressing the belief, we create all these like little games, right? And not games as in gamifying or, I know Pam Grout has a book, E Squared and E Cubed, I think, and like has these games and things that are manifesting games, right? Abraham Hicks has the processes. So it's not about that. What I'm talking about is like saying, well, if you believed in me, then you would do this. And like we create these little weird rules of engagement. And it's just what I'm seeing here is like this sort of rules of engagement you might have created around your desires that are being remedied right now. And there will be opportunities for that will allow you to recognize this. Like the way the light is being shone on the Ace of Cups here from the Hermit tells me that it will be recognizable to you. It's not going to be something that you have to like. Effort in relationship is different from work to me, right? Like work is like backbreaking, it's the thing that you do when it's like the slog of things, and relationships are not always easy. They can sometimes be confusing, but the difference is that one is like you ask yourself, why am I even doing this? Right? And it's like instead of frustrating your energy, it's like realigning it here. So speaking in terms of work, it's like, it's getting clear on what you want on the one hand, but then it's also allowing the path for how to achieve something to become clear of its own accord, as opposed to you putting in mountainous effort that frustrates your energy because that's not what you're meant to be doing right now. And I feel like you do put an end to this. Like this is the ending. That's the ending, which is a great ending. It's something that was, I feel like it was cyclical in that the lesson here was not that, especially if you come from a family like mine, hard work is like revered. There are quite a few single parents on my dad's side of the family. My aunt on my mother's side, single parent. And that comes with a certain hard work. Like it's and that can become because it's making meaning from the pain that happened that caused those things and the hard times that can come from that, right? So it's not to malign that at all. But sometimes we don't need that. There are easier ways of doing things, and in order to conceive of ease, we have to release the idea that the seeds of intention we plant have to be something that we disconnect from ourselves, right? Like, oh, I want that, but and then you go towards the thing that's the harder work that will look good to other people, but there's this one seed that you keep for yourself, right? And that's the pentacle that spirit, I think, is like, it's almost coming through an ace because it's the form that's shifting, right? The form of the seed of your intention shifts because the pentacle denotes an importance, but then the Ace of Cups is the realization of the importance, and that's how it's coming through right now. That's beautiful. Oh, thank you, Spirit. That's lovely. So let's pull an affirmation for you here. Do you know what you want? That's the message today. Spirit, what messages do you have to end this reading for my creative collective? I release the need to control my life. Yeah, that's that's kind of how this energy is coming across here, because we, when we make all these little tests with the universe and we even test ourselves, and it's this frustration of energy, right? That's where we need to release control. Let yourself be in the stream. Just float. Abraham Hicks says, float in your boat downstream. Ta-da. Like, that's really what it is. So what you control the most causes you the most pain. Breathe in, breathe out, and let go of trying to control your life. sometimes it gives us a sense of importance, and we can stigmatize the absence of what looks like control, and we say like, well, they're just floating through life and they don't have a plan. And it's different. Like, you can have a plan, but releasing control says, I don't know how it's going to show up. I just know that this is important to me and I'm willing to see how it unfolds. I have a sense of direction. I can be on the path and, walking my path. I don't need to have all the details. The details are where it all emerges and it's fun. And I know step by step what I need to know is going to be revealed to me. And it's been demonstrating this thus far in my life. 100% of the hard days I've survived. Cool. That's point number one. Point number two, 100% of the things that I've wanted, for the most part, when I allow it, when I let myself really want it, it usually comes to fruition in some capacity when it's about how I feel, as opposed to this stuff. So I have this frame of reference, Six of Cups. I have this frame of reference for this happening in the past. And so when I think about releasing the need to control my life, I can do that relatively easily, if only starting in my mind, where I release myself from the need to know all the details and frustrate my mental energy. And that helps me to choose my battles more wisely, Five of Wands. It helps me to align my energy in a more directed, unified way, as opposed to putting out fires and battling myself, because what I really want is to take the leap. What I really want is to feel unbound. What I really want is to trust fall where the universe catches me in loving arms. Be that in a person, a job, a creative project, or even just with a goal that I have. And I am willing, at the very least, to see how those arms open up to me. That's the shit that you have to start saying mentally. I've been doing that. I did not read that from anything. That was just coming. But that's kind of how it's like you sometimes have to talk to yourself that way, and just be willing, right? So let's read this last one. Celebrate life. Dear you, there are times in life when taking a risk is better left for another day. Other times are perfect for taking that leap, no matter how dangerous it might seem. I love this, my friends. Oh my gosh. It was so good. Well, hold on to your parachute strings, for today is leap time. Realize that no matter what, we will not let you fall, drown, get lost, or hurt yourself in any way on this one. Even if it may feel like you are in free fall, we are here for you, and you can stop freaking out about getting hurt and relax into this transition to something new. All the elements are in place and your soul is ready for a new experience. No matter what you're talking about, it's time to take the risk and do that thing that scares you. No matter what happens, you will land softly right on target. Don't worry about the outcome. Spirit's got that covered. It's taking the leap itself that's the point. We love your courage. Embrace it. That's really what this is, the challenge that you're overcoming today. And sometimes just saying, I want this experience. I want this trait in a human being, in a relationship. I want this quality of a relationship. Allowing yourself to just want it can be the leap. So let yourself want shit today. All right, my friends, that is your reading for today. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated, give it a like and subscribe if you are not already subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate you being here, especially if you are from my subscriber base, thank you so much. And I will be returning to doing videos with my actual face in them, although my hands are quite enchanting. Nonetheless, I'm so humble. But yeah, so we'll be returning to that. And as always, wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.